The first week of school is the easy part. It's week 3 when every prep needs something different and you're creating lessons at midnight. That's when classroom culture quietly disappears. Today, I want to talk about how to make sure it doesn't.
Welcome to the Secondary Teacher Podcast, the podcast for middle and high school teachers juggling multiple preps to get the strategies to reduce overwhelm so that you don't have to choose between being an effective teacher and prioritizing important relationships. I'm your host, Khristen Massic, a 10-year high school engineering teacher, former middle school assistant principal, and teacher coach. Every week, we will discuss strategies, systems, and time-saving tips to help you not only survive but thrive as a multiple prep teacher.
We've spent the last several episodes building toward this moment: community building activities, discussion routines, learning surveys, syllabi, accommodations, classroom routines, back to school questions. All of it has been pointing toward the same idea. Systems that work in week 1 should still be working in March. And today, in our series finale, I want to show you exactly how that happens. For the first several years of my teaching career, the first week of school actually felt manageable, even with multiple preps. And looking back, I now understand why. Community building activities are naturally repeatable across courses. The same structure worked in first period and fifth period. I could run think, write, pair, share or a connection activity in every class, and it felt intentional. Because it was. Students were getting to know each other, I was getting to know them, the culture was building, and then Unit 1 hit, and everything changed. Because suddenly every class needed something different content, different pacing, different materials, different lessons built from scratch for 3, 4, sometimes more preps simultaneously. And I was giving the same introduction over and over, not because I was being smart about reusing structures, but because every class happened to be starting at the same point, and I was running out of time and energy to do anything else. By the end of those first content weeks, I'd practically lose my voice from talking so much. And somewhere in all of that, classroom culture fell off the list. Not because I stopped caring, because I was just trying to keep up. So I'd start searching for activities just to get through the week, not because they fit my goals, because I was scrambling. And here's the part that took me years to figure out, probably years 1 through 7, if I'm being honest. The thing that made the first week feel manageable was the exact thing I abandoned when the content got hard: reusable structures. I had been running the same community building framework across every class in week 1, and it worked beautifully. Students knew what to expect. I wasn't reinventing anything. And then the moment real content started, I went back to planning in silos. Different lesson for every class, different structure every day, starting from scratch every time I sat down to plan, which is exactly backwards, because the structures that work in week 1, they work in week 8 too. I just hadn't figured that out yet. Here's what I've come to believe after years in classrooms and years working alongside teachers. Classroom culture isn't built through new experiences. It's built through familiar structures that students experience over and over again. Students don't need a brand new way to collaborate every week. They need opportunities to become comfortable with the routines and structures you've already taught them. And here's what that means practically. The goal isn't to keep introducing new systems. It's to keep using the good ones. Let me make this concrete using something we talked about earlier in this series: think, write, pair, share. In week 1, you use it to help students get to know each other. Simple prompt, low stakes, students learn the routine. Week 4, same structure, different prompt. Students are now explaining a concept, defending a design choice, reflecting on something they've learned. Week 12, same structure again. Students barely need directions because the routine is automatic. All of their cognitive energy goes toward the thinking, not toward figuring out what they're supposed to do. The thinking changes, the routine doesn't. That's a feature, not a flaw. Because every time students recognize a structure, that's one less thing you have to explain. One less decision you have to make. One more opportunity for learning to be the focus instead of logistics. The same is true for everything else we've covered in this series. Community building activities don't disappear after September. Many of them become great reflection activities later in the year. or ways to reconnect after a long break. The Way I Learn survey isn't a one-time activity. Pull it back when a student starts struggling. Have students complete it again mid-semester and compare. Your classroom routines don't stop being important once students learn them. You keep using them because predictability is what makes a classroom feel safe. The goal was never to find the perfect first week activity. The goal was to build systems that become part of how your classroom works all year. As you're looking ahead at this school year, here's a question I'd encourage you to sit with. Instead of asking, what new activity should I do next? Ask, how can I reuse something students already know? Can this discussion structure work with a different topic? Can this community building activity become a reflection activity in November? Can students use this same routine during the next unit without me having to explain it again? Planning becomes so much lighter when you're building on what's already working instead of constantly starting over. And students feel it too. There's something genuinely comforting about walking into a classroom where you already know how the learning happens. That comfort is classroom culture, not the first day activity that created it, the consistency that sustains it. Over the last 8 episodes, we've covered a lot of ground. Community building activities that connect students through content instead of generic icebreakers, a discussion structure that gives every student something to say before they're asked to speak, a learning survey that helps you understand students as learners, not just as people, a syllabus philosophy that treats your classroom as a living document instead of a legal contract, an accommodations tracker that makes sure important student information doesn't get lost between the paperwork and your classroom, a routine planning approach that teaches systems when students are ready to use them instead of front-loading everything on day one. A Q&A that revealed that most back-to-school questions are really one question. How do I build a system when I don't have one yet? And today, the answer to it all. Build systems that work in week 1, then keep using them. Because classroom culture isn't one amazing first week. It's the experience students have day after day because the structures you intentionally built and kept returning to. That's exactly why I created the Secondary Teacher Systems Toolkit, not a collection of one-time activities for the first week of school, a collection of reusable systems, discussion structures, community building activities, routines and procedures, accommodations tracking, planning resources, all designed to become part of your classroom all year, not just in August. Many of the resources include blank templates so you can keep adapting them as your students and your content change. If you want to make classroom culture easier to build and sustain, the toolkit is linked in the show notes. Before you go, one question. What structure from the series could you use not just in the first week, but in week 8? Week 20, because the answer to that question might be the most important planning decision you make all year. Finish something that makes tomorrow lighter. I'll see you next time.